Today I'm going to do something that I seldom do, something that the teachers of preachers say you should never do, and that is that I'm going to talk about all four biblical readings for today. So you might as well be prepared to be here for a couple hours, all right? Nothing like some nice hard pews for a good long sit. All the readings for today are about faith. They're all about faith and provide us essential insights into faith's meaning for us personally and for our life together. And I want to squeeze out of the biblical text as much wisdom as I can today so that we have a better understanding of faith. But I want to start out with some reflections on what faith is not before we look at the text for today. Faith and the conclusions that children reach are different than the conclusions that adults should reach. Faith is not, first of all, belief. Although belief will accompany faith and faith will help shape belief, faith in its essence is not belief. It is not fundamentally giving intellectual assent to a list of beliefs. Now, sadly, in portions of Christianity, faith has become that. There's a long list of things you need to believe, you need to shake your head to in order to qualify as having faith. It's the kind of understanding, by the way, that has led some traditions to keep people away from the communion table because, you don't believe with your brain the same things we believe in. Faith fundamentally is not belief. It's not belief, by the way, that you subscribe to because you know you're supposed to, even though all the evidence stacks up against that belief. It is this distortion of faith that has caused many young people and many older people to run from the faith. They learn from science, they learn about science, and then they go to churches that tell them that the insights of science are not to be believed. We, they are taught by some, have another set of beliefs. No, that's not faith. Sometimes it's naivete. And I'm going to be bold enough, don't normally say stuff like this. Sometimes it's stupidity. The world is not 6,000 years old, as some religious folks want to suggest. And that's not something you got to believe in order to have faith. Let's just tell the truth. Faith is much more profound and much more meaningful than believing stuff that you can't believe. We see that in the little-known prophet Habakkuk. It's got a great name. I've always wanted to name my next kid that, Habakkuk. He's writing during the 6th century BCE to Jews who have experienced the collapse of the Assyrian Empire, and they're anticipating the invasion of the Babylonian Empire. And he's looking around at his homeland and is noting the violence of his time as well as the injustice that is taking place. And he says, "O Lord, how long shall I cry for help, and you will not listen? Why do you make me see wrongdoing and look at trouble?" Note this first. Faith is not pretending that everything is okay. Faith is not a passive acceptance of all things. Faith sometimes involves lamenting, looking at the world and wondering why it is the way it is. As I look at what's happening in Florida and places that I know pretty well, my parents used to live there, brother-in-law has a house on Sanibel Island. As I look at all of that stuff, I wonder, why is life the way it is? And I lament. Faith brings a great deal of discomfort, a great deal of lamenting. Which, by the way, is why Habakkuk is free to say about what's going on in his time. The law is become slack and justice never prevails. The wicked surround the righteous, and judgment, likely in the legal sphere, comes forth perverted. It doesn't work out well for all kinds of folks in the legal sphere. Faith is an honest struggle with life and an honest struggle with God. Hurricane Ian, the brutal invasion of the Ukraine by Russia. What in the heck is up? This shouldn't be. And such statements are an expression of faith. Habakkuk, in his struggle to go in his struggle is told to go to stand at his watch post. He's supposed to go climb up and look out, and you know what he's waiting for? He's waiting for God to show up. Well, God shows up with words, and God says, I want you to write the vision. I want you to write the vision large so that a runner might be able to see it. Write the vision, which is to say, don't give up. There is something coming. There is still, he says, a vision for the appointed time. And this vision speaks of the evil you are experiencing coming to an end. And then in what I think is one of the best lines in the scriptures, and I know I say that all the time, but I really like this one. He says, God says, if it seems to tarry. Our Baptist friends love that word. If it seems to tarry, wait for it. Faith is an active and expectant waiting. You have kids, you know when you go someplace, they'll say, are we there yet? Faith often has to conclude, and I don't recommend this for when you're traveling in a car with your kids, all right? But faith often has to conclude, no, we are not there yet. We're on our way. A lot of religion wants to answer, yes, we're there, we've gotten there, but that kind of religion can be deeply deceiving. Faith is often a posture of waiting, and I think it's eager waiting. Habakkuk says, the righteous live by their faith. They live by trusting the future to the God who is known to surprise us. That's the first reading. Go on to the second one. Our second reading, the psalm for today, involves less of a struggle than what we experience in Habakkuk. This psalm, by the way, is a wisdom psalm that was created to teach children the basics of the faith. In it, and in these kinds of psalms, the world is very well ordered, and following the way of God is thought to be the best and the most practical way of living. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will act. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. It's great advice for children, by the way. It's a way of saying life goes better for you if you stick with this God stuff. It just goes a lot better if you stick with this God stuff. I happen to believe that, by the way. But this is not the part of the psalm that intrigues me for today. I am more interested in the sage advice of the psalmist that says, do not fret. Do not fret because of the wicked. Do not be envious of the evildoers, for they soon will fade like the grass. That is, they'll die. God will make your vindication shine like the light. Do not fret. It only leads to evil, for the wicked eventually will be cut off. Now, I have to be honest with you, I seldom think that life is that simple. The wisdom psalms are always simple. The good don't always prosper, and the evil frequently don't seem to get their comeuppance, their due. But it intrigues me that the psalmist is encouraging children and encouraging us to allow God to be the one who eventually vindicates, the one who validates, or to use Lutheran words, the one who justifies us. And I think this is an insight for a good Christian understanding of faith. Without a doubt, faith involves lament. We shouldn't run from complaining when life isn't fair. But we also should realize that it is not our responsibility to vindicate ourselves, validate our own lives. Faith involves trusting that vindication and validation come from God, not from us. And how much fretting are we involved in because we do not trust that? How many arguments do we have to get the last word in because we think we validate ourselves? And how much stubbornness do we reside in because we must validate or vindicate ourselves? Christian faith, especially from a Lutheran perspective, is letting go of the need to vindicate and validate ourselves. Faith is leaving that to God. Faith is allowing life to be the gift that it is. And yet, many of us are busy, so busy trying to prove our worth, busy comparing ourselves to others, defending ourselves, and complaining about how others have it better than we do. Oh, that's an awful lot of fretting. And it takes a toll on us and on our relationships with other people. One of the things about faith that the reading from 2 Timothy reminds us of is that faith includes our relationships with others, our connection with others. This reading makes it quite clear that faith is not something we as individuals create. Oh, I wish we got this. It is not something that we as individuals create, something that we alone live within. As the author of 2 Timothy presented to us as Paul, speaks to Timothy, he says, I'm reminded of your sincere faith, a faith that first lived in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice. The author is reminding Timothy that he is not an independent agent. His work of faith is done in light of the work of faith that has been done before him. Faith is not a private possession. And I think that's such good news sometimes, because sometimes we don't feel like we own it. We don't feel like we have it. But faith is not simply your private possession. We live out faith, Hebrews says, surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. We live out our lives and our faith accompanied by a tradition that has been passed on to us. Maybe in our case, not from parents or grandparents, but from many known and unknown others. Faith is not our invention, nor is it our possession. And in some ways, I think that is what Jesus is getting at in our gospel reading for today from Luke. After much teaching about forgiveness, supposed to forgive 70 times 7, and much teaching about the inclusion of the poor and the left out, Jesus receives this invitation from his disciples: increase our faith. We don't know how to live forgiving like you want us to forgive, Jesus. That's just not within us. We don't know how to live as if money, privilege, and prestige aren't the most important things in life. Increase our faith. To me, it sounds like a reasonable request, because I'm not sure I know how to do that either. But Jesus responds to the disciples by saying, you really don't need more faith. If you had faith the size of a mustard seed, you could do miraculous things. Hear this, and hear this loudly and clearly. Faith is not a competition. David Losey says, faith doesn't have to be heroic. Robert Capon says, when it comes to faith, the disciples don't have to be winners. This is so contrary to what much of the church sells faith as. We struggle, we doubt, we question, and we're told we just need more faith. More faith, like we need more money, more big screen televisions, more notoriety, more certainty. Jesus says we don't need more. He says we need just a little bit. Life in the reign of God isn't about more. Sometimes, frankly, it's about less. For the disciples and for us, it's probably about less perfection, less striving, less addiction to the moral categories of this world. Forgiveness and the inclusion of the left out don't come easy in a world where we measure everything. The kind of faith Jesus is calling us to is one that moves us beyond ranking and beyond scorekeeping. Now, I have to admit to you, I really, really struggle with Jesus' words at the end of the text for today. They're some of my least favorite words in all the scriptures. So when you have done all that you were ordered to do, say we are worthless slaves. We've done only what we ought to have done. Oh, worthless slaves, come on. Give me a break. I don't like it when people, and I've experienced this in my family, when people use false modesty. You know, I'm just not worth anything. Oh, I can't stand that. I got to tell you, I can. And when you say that kind of stuff to me, I'm going to come back and you say, well, get over that. I just don't like it at all. But what Jesus is getting at, it seems to me, suggests that the faith that he is calling us to really does involve action. Faith isn't a matter of sitting on the couch and doing nothing. Faith entails serving, but not in a way that's about rank or scorekeeping. Faith sometimes is just a matter of doing your job. And doing your job doesn't require trophies or gift cards or a non-ending number of pats on your back. After all, the psalmist would remind us, it is not you who vindicates life, it is God. Faith, it's a big struggle. Life is phenomenally hard and remarkably good. Life is mixed. Faith involves a waiting that sometimes is accompanied by lamenting. After all, there is Putin, and there's Hurricane Ian, and there is personal trauma. But faith isn't you figuring it all out. Faith leaves vindication and validation to God. Faith isn't something we create. It is something we receive. It is something we do together, but it's not a competition. There aren't winners, and there aren't losers. Faith is our lifeline, and it's got you. So cling to it.